Good cold morning from Northern Europe and from the imaginary country of Finland. I'm getting closer to the town of Järvenpää, and this is always my favorite part of the week, Sunday morning. I love riding mornings and of course especially Sundays, because there's never that, whoa, horses. Oh man, I love horses. Very cool, so close to town. Yeah, I like to ride Sunday mornings especially, because it's always chill, there's not many people around. I don't know, I'm just a morning person, I guess. But alright, let's get into town, see what's up. Yesterday there was a sort of, I don't know if you would, I guess you wouldn't call it storm yet, but there was definitely a lot of wind. If there's a lot of wind, I just don't go out to ride anymore at all. Like, I've learned my lesson from previous experiences with the wind. Here's a church built in the 60s. Most people seem to hate that style, but I love it. Maybe because when I was a kid, my mom used to bring me to a church that looked just like that, and I thought it was an adventure every time. That here is the center of town. Very small town, but then again, every town in this country is small. Actually, let's check the lake. I used to live here and I came here all the time during the summers to chill. I don't live here anymore, but right now I still live close enough here that I can do these rides. Let's go back to the center. Yeah, you never know how dogs are gonna act around this thing, so you really have to be careful with them when going around. Well, the center is just as dead as you would expect from 8 a.m. Sunday. It really is cold this morning. It's probably like just a few degrees Celsius. I put a lot on this morning, but I've already ridden like about 20 kilometers or what to get here. Not 20, 22 kilometers. So I'm starting to feel the cold a little. Local train station here. Ah. Oh, and talking about wind earlier, how I don't ride in the, like when the wind gets bad enough, and it doesn't even have to get too bad for me to stop riding altogether, because I'm sure I'm not the only EUC rider who has this had happened to them. That just one time I was just riding a, I don't know, main road, and it was windy, but I didn't think it was that windy, but the bursts of wind were pretty bad every now and then. And just one time, just the wind burst took me and just threw me down the ditch on the side of the road. Like nothing I could do. At least not with my skills. Nothing happened, thank God. But it gave me a lesson. I've had the wind, like, of course, push me around a lot more than just that one time, but never that bad. I don't really go searching YouTube for EUC stuff anymore, but this YouTube recommended to me this Russian food delivery guy. It was kinda interesting to watch. He lives in St. Petersburg. I've been there many times. The roads are wide, and I'm sure it's fun to ride fast there. And I don't know what the Russian laws with the EUCs are, but this guy, why is it always the Russian EUC riders who are crazy? Like he was riding, if I remember correctly, a Sherman L. He was riding like 80 kilometers per hour and even hit 100 kilometers per hour. Of course, assuming it's legit, which, I mean, I believe him because he ain't the only crazy Russian to do it. But yeah, like at that point, like going 80 or even 100, like doesn't even have to be much wind at all. That just gets sketchy as hell. Like I would not have the balls to ever do that. Like just a slow wind just could throw you off, especially when you're riding in a city like St. Petersburg with a lot of traffic. But yeah. And of course these New York guys in the States seem to do stuff like that too, but yeah, would never. I haven't seen that many EUC riders here, but I've seen some of these guys just show impossible control of themselves, at least to me, because for example one morning I was just commuting to work, riding as fast as I can, as I always, because it's pretty much a straight road to work, 20 kilometers. So I'm just going as fast as possible because I gotta get to work anyway. I saw this guy just, I don't know what he was riding, maybe S22, something that was definitely capable of going fast. And he had his, oh, dog. I'm gonna go around. Yeah, he was definitely riding something that's capable of going fast, and he just had his hands in his pockets, no helmet, but he was just going like 25, which is the legal limit here, but I'll get back to the law stuff later. But yeah, I'm like, wow, how can you go 25 kilometers per hour with these things? Like, it would be impossible for me. I couldn't show that kind of restrict. Like, I always have to go fast. Well, fast for me, meaning usually I ride like from 50 kilometers to 65. Let's just go here. I found this place by accident one time. Ah man, I threw my bag when I was leaving this morning. Doesn't feel good at all. One of the perks of getting old. I don't know if my back is gonna allow me to do this. Damn, I think I damaged it worse than I thought this morning. Ah, shit. That's enough. Some people with the Apex say that they just, I guess, never change the suspension height or the ride height to get more suspension, and they just always keep it where it is, that it's a gimmick. Hasn't been the case for me. I use it all the time, depending on where I ride and what I do. Like, I constantly change it. I think it's awesome. And for me, the air suspension that at least some of you get the Apex with, this has been just great enough. Maybe I just don't demand much from the suspension, but it's worked great for me. Initially mine came with a coil shock. Horrible for me. The coil suspension was just way too stiff for me, like way too stiff for my weight. After I start thinking, how do I get home? Yesterday also I was reading a Reddit post from this European guy who rides the same wheel as me, and he had bought the wheel from the same or online shop in Europe, well-known online store, and he had some big difficulties getting some information from them regarding, or like what do you call it in English, the unique number of the wheel. He needed that number so that he could get his unicycle insured, and that way it would be legal to ride, I guess. And first of all, he had no help from this European EUC store, and that kind of sucks to hear, since that's the guys I need to, if something goes wrong with this wheel, that's the guys I'm gonna have to deal with. I can sort of relate that I did ask them something about that I needed with this wheel when they shipped it, and they did answer me after a long while, but it's like they didn't even read the original question. They just answered me some bullshit. But at least they answered. So this guy needed that unique number for insurance purposes. And I was like, wow. So, because in Europe, these things, like I guess most of the rest of the world, these things are illegal, completely illegal. But if that is possible in some country in the EU, that getting it insured would make it road legal, like completely road legal, then I wish we had that kind of law here in this country, because I would definitely get this insured. I know in my first video I bitched about motorcycle insurance and how that's one of the things that just made motorcycling not cool for me anymore. But with this thing I would definitely pay it, because it most likely wouldn't be that much. And if that would assure that I can ride this anywhere I want to, then it would definitely be worth it. And then there's the other thing, that if I could get it insured in a way that it's not just like a traffic insurance, that if I bash into some car or something, that traffic insurance, but if it included like something like the battery itself, that if the battery caught fire and it destroyed something, and it would be that the insurance would pay for those damages as well, then it would be just awesome. I would want that. But I don't think that's gonna happen. And then I read in the same Reddit post, someone had answered that, like, in Germany, for example, you can't do anything, like that the police are really going after these things, and that they can fine you up to 5,000 euros if they see you ride these things. And I was like, wow, I feel bad for these guys. But here, like generally speaking, the police don't care. Obviously, of course, as long as you don't do any crazy stuff. Like, if you ride with some sense, then they don't care right now, even if these things are illegal. I know there's food couriers here that use these things for their work in the Helsinki area. There's like a handful of active ones, I guess, and even in the center of Helsinki, like, the police do not care, even though if these guys rode like right next to them, like right next to a cop car or something, they don't care. So right now it's allowed in a way, because it's not, no one cares.